Call this meeting to order, July 12th, 2021, Village of Villa Park Village Board. Clerk Kornecki, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Silella?
Here.
Trustee Corkery? Trustee Kozar?
Here.
Trustee Kumar?
Here.
Trustee Murphy?
Here.
Trustee Patrick?
Here.
President Kazal?
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, start with item number 3, public comments on agenda items. Clerk Kornecki, we have them signed up.
Yes. I have Cheryl Tucker regarding item 9A.
Hello, Cheryl Tucker, 434 South Cornell. Again, I'm approaching this board about item 9A. I'm not quite sure why it's such a sticky point on the outdoor storage containers when one of the trustees, at least one of them, made an issue out of how that ordinance needed to be changed. So I am again approaching you to please pass it tonight. Work through whatever differences it is, and let's see if we can't get it passed tonight. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, Robert Smith regarding 10A.
Good evening. Robert Smith, 137 North Charles. Tonight on the agenda, I want to thank the board for finally getting our project, our street, to the top of the list. It's been 9 months of us being here, sometimes not very nice, and over 6 years for this finally getting done. About the only thing I have questions on tonight that maybe can be addressed through the meeting is the new construction has a moratorium, 7-year moratorium on any cuts for repairs to sewer lines, water lines, and so on. There's another subject on this tonight, I guess. So maybe we're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. What concerns me is in the wording of the ordinance, it says that cuts will be allowed in emergency only if it's determined by the village to be an emergency, that a cut can be made within that 7-year timeline for sewer, water, whatever. I guess my question is, what's an emergency for a homeowner? If I'm going to be selling my property, I must disclose that there's some sort of encumbrance to access to the sewers, water. You know, if the sewer fails a year after a new resident or a new owner moves in, you know, I feel I have a duty to disclose that there's a moratorium. Does the village give notice? Do I have to do that? And what constitutes an emergency? So that's really my question. Thank you.
No one else.
No one else? Okay. Do we have any more comments on agenda items? Okay, move to item number 4, amendments to the agenda. Do we have any amendments? Seeing none, we will go to item number 5, Community Pride Awards. We have the Residential Landscaping Award and also a special edition Villa Park Spirit Award to Jeannie Nicholson for her years of volunteer service to the commission and to the Village of Villa Park. And we will turn that over to our Community Pride Commission.
I made a slide presentation. Go figure, right? It's only 2 slides this time, promise. Just 2, okay? I'm Tracy Gabriel.
And I'm Leslie Allison, CI.
And we are part of the Community Pride Commission. We're getting ready to change our name and we're working on that, so I try not to let it slip. Okay. So a few reasons why we're here tonight. 1, we're going to present the June Gardenscape. It used to be called the Landscape Award. We're calling it the Gardenscape because you know we're the garden village. So we're going to start using that word a little bit more. And then present a special Spirit Award to Jeannie Nicholson. And then upcoming events that we have. But I'm going to rearrange this order real quick because Jeannie Nicholson's got a lot of people here.
I know.
So
she has her own fan club.
Yeah, huge fan club. So we have upcoming events. We have Paws and Claws in the park coming up. We have Sidewalk Chalk Party coming up. And we also have Halloween, that I'm sure Trustee Patrick's gonna mention. And we're gonna be watching for those on our Community Pride Villa Park Facebook page. Watch for updates on all of those items, okay? So, for the June Gardenscape Award, we would like to present to a homeowner and his friend, but they couldn't be here tonight, so we're just going to present a slide, and then Leslie and I are going to go knock on the door one day this week and present them with their new sign. And we're going to present that to 209 East Park. It's a beautiful yard. Yes, it is a very beautiful yard. Brian Crook and Sherry are responsible for this yard. They're also responsible, if you remember at Christmas time or the winter, they had the Santa that landed his car up on the roof and had the motorcycle police, the motorcycle Santa. So they're definitely participating in the community, and we love that and encourage others to participate in showing off your gardens and showing off your front landscapes for the community to show your pride and to show your spirit in Villa Park. And with that, I want to show you our new sign.
Our new sign. Are you ready?
Is that a good
Drum
design?
roll.
Oh, is that big?
I didn't know it was that big.
Yep. So with that, I am going to take this over, and Leslie is going to go ahead and speak a little bit about our next presentation. And there is no slide for that. You're welcome.
So, I thought it was fitting that I be the one to do the speech in honor of Jeannie.
Are you sure?
Okay. Okay. I got this. Got it. Because Jeannie is the whole reason that I'm standing here today. So, without further ado, tonight the Villa Park Community Pride Commission is proud to present a special edition Community Spirit Award for our recently retired Commissioner, Jeannie Nicholson. Jeannie spent about 30 years helping students at Willowbrook High School as a special education aide before retiring in 2002. Never one to be idle, that's when Jeannie's volunteerism kicked into high gear, and all of Villa Park got to reap the benefits of her kindness and caring nature.
But hardly all the highlights of Jeannie's many years of volunteerism include helping the development and construction of the Great Western Trail Head Arch over on Villa Avenue, being an active member in the Villa Park Police Department's Neighborhood Watch Program. I knew it. Honored as one of the 2015 Seniors of the Year Award recipients by the Villa Park Senior Concerns Commission, handcrafting a number of beautiful awards and various commission awards. I am sure there are many homes in Villa Park that probably display those awards today. Helping out each Earth Day on the Prairie Path cleanup, passing out backpacks, water bottles with a smile, no matter what the April weather
gave us
that year. You ready?
Yeah. Jeannie's a one-woman flower planting crew. For years, Jeannie has purchased and lovingly planted flowers and tended to all of the planters around town. I think she still sneaks in a few flowers here and there too, because I've noticed. Sponsoring and merrily decorating several Christmas trees on the Prairie Path each year from the Chamber of Commerce. And I could go on, as I'm sure many in this room could do as well. Instead, I'd like to quickly share my personal story about Jeannie. In September of 2017, the village teamed with the Conservation Foundation and the Dupage Monarch Project and local volunteers to plant a butterfly garden along the Great Western Trail. This became my first foray into community service, and I signed up to help out. When I arrived that day, there were several people planting and digging in the dirt, but one person in particular caught my attention. Her welcoming smile and dancing eyes made me feel right at home, and I knelt down in the dirt beside her. We worked on that dirt for an hour, and as Jeannie talked, I felt like we knew each other forever. She surely was and is the definition of neighbor. Once we completed our work that day, I didn't want to leave. Jeannie was so much fun to be around. She gave me a big hug and invited me to join the Community Pride Commission, and I eagerly took her up on her offer. She taught me the true meaning of community pride and the rewards you reap when you volunteer to help others. Everyone should be so lucky to have Jeannie living in their town. Thank you so much for what you've done and continue to do for Villa Park, Jeannie. We love you and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
You good? It's okay if you're not ready. And tonight here we have 4 of Jeannie's daughters and 1 son. I think I got that right. I practiced that a lot. That was a lot of words for me to remember. Thank you.
Hey, you guys, you know. No. What? Oh.
She was about to
You know, I lost 4 teeth. Well, a bridge came out. So, and then my hip is real bad. I'm going to the doctor Wednesday, replacement. And my glasses aren't good, and they're fogged up. I'm a mess. And you know what, you guys, you really build me up when I'm down there. My husband passed away this last November 17th, and we were married for 64 and a half years. And I know he's here now. I know it. And you know, I received a most beautiful award from Willowbrook High School. I worked there for almost 30 years with special ed kids, and nobody wanted to take on the behavior disorder kids, and especially those that were self-contained in the room, bused to and from school. But I didn't mind them. I could see through them, and I knew how to treat them. And you don't talk to the, you don't. Well, anyway, they gave me an award, and I'd like to just have you listen to what they said. Oh, thank you. Because I volunteered when my kids were in school every day at the Catholic school where they went. And, here's what they said. It's so beautiful. Jeannie has the unique ability to motivate and bring out the best in the special ed students. She can always find the good in everyone and inspires students to make positive changes. She has a calm, respectful demeanor when dealing with difficult students and is comfortable with these young people. Now, wasn't that nice? They gave me an award at a dinner, Willowbrook. And you know what? Look at all this I had written out. I was going to say it, but you know what? I won't. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
We have this.
Thank you.
And thank you, Jeannie, for all your hard work over the years. Worked with you on the Community Pride for a couple of years, and it was a pleasure. You really love Villa
I was
Park.
the first secretary.
There you go.
I have a lot of work I have big shoes to fill there. Thanks, Jeannie.
I'm gonna go sit down.
I just have something short to say, because I was told to keep it short, but how do you keep something short for someone you adore? She's not my Jeannie. She's not your Jeannie. She's everybody's Jeannie. And everyone who wishes they had a Jeannie in the bottle. And there she is. Each of you hold a special place in her heart. Her heart always has room for more. She exudes warmth, welcome, and love. And that is a gift she has bestowed upon her family, neighbors, friends, to me, BP, and beyond. Jeannie, BFF. That stands for us. And to the other Nicholsons, woo-hoo!
They lived here all their life. Because, you know, we're the best.
Thank you.
Thank you to the board for having us tonight and honoring Jeannie. Thank you.
Tracy Knisley, thank you. Okay. We will move on to the consent agenda. The minutes from the board meeting held on June 28th, 2021. Bill listings for the week of June 28th, 2021 and July 5th, 2021 in the amount of $973,929.92. Do we have a motion to accept it? Trustee Kumar.
I motion to
Okay.
accept.
Do we have a second?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that second.
Trustee Patrick, second. Any questions or comments? Okay, we have a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Silella?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to number 7, appointments to boards and commissions. We have a new commissioner for the Cable TV Commission, Christian Armando Batiz, July 12th, 2021 through April 30th, 2024. And for the Economic Development Commission, we have a new commissioner, Matt Schmidt, July 12th, 2021 through April 30th, 2023. Do we have a motion for this?
Mr. President,
Trustee Solella.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Trustee Patrick.
Mr. President, I'd like to make that second.
Okay. Questions, comments? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Okay, Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Silella?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to item 8. First reading on ordinances to be codified. 8A is an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending the village code regarding membership of the Cable TV Commission. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The intent and purpose of the Cable TV Commission is to oversee the training and scheduling of camera operators to televise village board meetings for the benefit of all citizens of the village. The commission has had difficulty finding volunteers to fill commission memberships. With new members joining, the Cable TV Commission is requesting to reduce the commission's membership from 7 to 5 members. This reduction will make it easier to obtain a member quorum, which is needed to conduct commission business. Staff recommends approval of this ordinance. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay, since this is a first reading, does anyone, first off, make a motion first? or-
No, there's no motion, no vote
Oh, that's right, there's no vote,
required
okay.
Unless there's a
Yeah.
motion to waive first read.
Right.
second reading.
We can waive the first reading, if anyone?
I'd like to make a motion to waive the second reading, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, second.
I
Trustee Kumar?
second that motion.
Okay,
You vote on that motion and
then
then
vote,
vote on
okay.
the main.
okay, so we will have a roll call to waive the second reading. Clerk
Okay.
Nicky.
Trustee Silella,
Yes.
trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
Yes.
trustee Murphy,
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, so
Main
do we have a motion to approve this ordinance?
I'll make that
President-
motion.
Have a second?
Mr.
Trustee
President, I'd
Patrick?
like to second that.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Silella,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
Yes.
trustee Murphy. Yes. Trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Corkery,
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Move on to 8B, an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending the village code regarding membership of the Senior Citizens Commission.
Thank you, Ron. The intent of the Senior Citizens Commission is to make recommendations to the village board to ensure and promote the well-being of the senior population of Villa Park. The commission currently only has 4 members due to difficulty finding volunteers to fill commission memberships. The Senior Citizens Commission is requesting to reduce the commission's membership from 11 to 5 members. This reduction will make it easier to obtain a member quorum which is needed to conduct commission business. Staff recommends approval of this ordinance. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay, as in the last one, does anyone like to make a motion to waive the second reading? Trustee Kumar?
I will make a motion to waive the second reading.
Okay, trustee Murphy?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor of waiving the second ordinance? Roll call, please.
Okay. Trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Silella,
Yes.
trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Kumar,
Yes.
trustee Murphy. Yes. President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, and we have a motion for the ordinance itself.
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Trustee Patrick? We have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Solella? Questions, comments? Roll call.
President
Yep.
Kazone.
Yes.
A few years ago, the name was changed. It's not Senior Citizens Commission, it's Senior Concern Commission.
Oh, okay.
And that was done by the board, approved that a few years back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay,
Roll call.
and roll call vote, please.
Okay, trustee Murphy? Yes. Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Silella?
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to ordinances. 9A, an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending certain provisions of Appendix C, basic zoning ordinance of the Village of the Villa Park Municipal Code. Andrew Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The zoning text amendments are proposed to better clarify code requirements, address best practices and/or current development trends, including adding regulations concerning permanent outdoor storage containers. The Community Development Department received comments from the public, performed a review of these codes, and researched best practices before making the recommended modifications. The Planning and Zoning Commission discussed and provided feedback at the February 11, 2021 public hearing. Village staff reviewed comments received and performed additional research, including looking at comparable communities, including Addison, Carroll Stream, and Lombard. On April 8, 2021, during a public hearing, the Planning and Zoning Commission made some minor recommendations to the wording for accessory building structures and permanent storage containers, and unanimously recommended approval of the text amendments. Attached is a red line document of the proposed zoning text amendments and proposed ordinance. Staff recommends approval of these text amendments. This item satisfies the long-term complex strategic plan goal, engage and be proactive in regional planning efforts and activities. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Andrew. Hey, do we have a motion for this ordinance?
I'll
Trustee
make
Murphy?
that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Do we have a second?
Mr. President, I second that motion.
Okay, Fitzpatrick. Okay. We have discussed this quite a bit. I know there are some questions and comments that the board has. Start with trustee Kozar.
The way that this ordinance has been presented, these changes have been presented, I think we can do better. So contrary to one of the public comments here today that this ordinance is just about containers, it is not, though it is about containers in one section. We have containers, both temporary and permanent, talked about in this. We have accessory structures and accessory buildings talked about in this. We have PUD regulations and administrative adjustments talked about in this. Who reports to whom? We have setback requirements, we have outdoor seating, and we have circular driveways, all in one ordinance change. What I think we need to do is take this and divide it into basically the 5 or 6, depending on how you see it, sections or subject matters that are in these proposed changes. There is a memo attached to this, and if anybody looked at that memo, there have been multiple memos attached to this. So originally this ordinance was proposed by the last administration, and that's now after the last administration said they weren't going to deal with these ordinances, they're going to make it incumbent upon the new board that sits here. So we inherited this. This is not something that we asked for. And I agree that these do need to be cleaned up and fine-tuned, but just not in this fashion. So there's a memo attached to this, but that memo changes the goalpost keeps changing. So you had an original memo, you had another memo on June 17th, you had another memo on July 7th, and another memo now on July 9th, all with red line. And I'm told by the village attorney that the only thing that we can comment upon is what was changed on the red line side of things. But if you compare it, which is not up here in the agenda, is the original memo that was given to us. From the original memo to the memo that we just got on Friday, it's different. Number one, I think that if we're ever changing, if we have something on the agenda, it should stay on the agenda. And if we're adding to it, keep the old, add to the new. Don't take the old stuff out so you can't compare it and you can't see the evolution of what's going on here. So now we have this final memo, the goalpost is changing. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here that I think needs to be clarified and changed. One simple example is what's the difference between an accessory structure and an accessory building? Deepa and I had a meeting with Larry Culvert from P&Z, Mike Orlowski, Patrick Burke, Consuelo Aguilar, and Al Boltais on Friday, trying to go through this. What our intention, or what our thinking was that we were going to sit down and we were going to hash out things that we could bring back to the board and make changes to. That wasn't apparently what the meeting was about. It was simply to go over what was redlined, and now the redlining has changed. So the redlining that we walked into that meeting with was different than the redlining that you're seeing today. I would like to recommend to the board that we vote this down today. We keep these subjects forefront in what we want to do, but we take them in segments and pieces, and we just chop them up to the smaller elements. We can take away all the low-hanging fruit, the things like the 5-foot setback versus a 3-foot setback versus a 10-foot setback. We can wipe all that away at the next meeting very simply. But these things that need more discussion, we should have the opportunity to discuss it. Comments have been made that P&Z has put a lot of work into this, and I agree that they have. But just because they put a lot of work into it doesn't mean we should rubber stamp it. We should not be a rubber stamping board. We should have the opportunity to do it and do it right. If you've got a fence at home, you don't paint your fence the wrong color because that's just the gallon of paint you have. You do the prep work, you go get the new paint, and you paint it once. You don't say, well, we're going to come back and we're going to redo it at a later date. Let's do it right, and let's do it once.
Okay, I don't believe the red line changes have been altered. Director Argus, would you like to make a comment on that?
The red line documents have not changed.
Okay,
The
it's
red
just the
line
memo
items.
that was changed.
Correct.
Correct.
The memo was revised to provide some supplemental information, some background information.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a comment if I could, please. This was addressed at our last board meeting. We left that meeting with the directive that we were going to put forth emails. Anyone that was recommending a change was to send it to the trustees. The trustees had the option to meet two at a time as long as we were not in violation of the Open Meetings Act. I did not receive an email, to the best of my knowledge, with anyone recommending proposed changes that were identified and discussed at the last board meeting. I would like to move forward with a vote on this tonight.
Okay. Trustee Kumar.
I empathize with the need to move on with this particular ordinance, but in all consciousness, I can't comfortably move on with it because this is, as I said last time, and everything in the kitchen sink ordinance. And it becomes, and I'm going to ask a few questions, Kathy, of you. Are we able to just pass part of the changes in this ordinance, or it's an all or nothing?
No, you would have to propose an amendment to amend the ordinance before you to be reduced to whatever section you're prepared to vote on. That amendment would need a second, and then it would be up to a majority of the board to go with that amendment. But that would be the only way for you to reduce what's before you.
Okay. And the problem I have with it is if there's too many things in a particular ordinance, and this is advice I give for whoever's writing these memos in the future, of putting too many different concepts into the same ordinance, mathematically, you force a nay vote on it. That is just from mathematical probabilistic terms. Because if you have a problem with one part of it, it means you have to say no to all of it. I would prefer in the future that ordinances be much shorter, or memos be shorter, and agenda items not be clubbed together with everything in the kitchen sink. So that is some thoughts I'm giving to the management in the future. If you are sending through things that you want changed or ordinances that want changed to both P&Z or to us, please keep it short and sweet. And you can send multiple things to us within an agenda. It can be agenda 1, 9C, 9A, 9B, 9C, that's fine, but that will allow us to vote separately on every single issue, okay? And that is my actual problem with this particular ordinance.
Okay, the only thing I have is, we've had this thing for 8 weeks now.
Yeah.
And at the last meeting, like Trustee Murphy said, I had requested comments, and I got yours this morning, but it was at 1 o'clock this morning, and unfortunately I was still sleeping. And
I'm sorry, I mean, my timings are different from
yeah,
everyone.
no, I understand, but we've had this for a long time. The time for, we've had time for discussion. Now, we can discuss today.
Yes,
And we
absolutely.
can make whatever amendment that we'd like to tonight. And I think we should. I agree with Trustee Murphy. I mean, we've had this for a long time. It's not that I want to rush this through, but we've had a lot of time to look at it. And, we can make comments and make, like the attorney said, we can amend portions of it by making a motion on that. Just goes there.
I'd like to clarify the redlining. So maybe Consuelo, I'll address this to you. If you look at the June 17th memo, where you have redlining, do you have that memo? The June 17th memo?
I will respectfully ask that you refer to the latest memo that was attached to the agenda for
Well,
tonight's meeting.
But your comment was that no redlining has changed. So let's go to an older memo, and let's just
item
take the
before you
first.
for consideration is, I would refer to the latest memo, which has been tweaked and amended to provide the back information to answer some of the questions I've received from the board, from the public, to make it better
Mr.
clarify
President.
what changes
Oh,
are
hang
being
on, let her
proposed.
talk. Let her,
I'm
I'm
asking the
sorry, no, let her
question.
talk. Let her talk. Questions got to go through me though, please. If you're asking,
So can I ask
No,
the
I mean, you
question
can
through
ask,
you?
but yeah, I have to bring her up.
Okay,
all right.
so let me ask the question to you. Can we look at the older memo and look at just a random section of what has been redlined, and then look at the current memo and see if there is a change?
the red line itself has not changed. These have not changed. This memo may have changed.
But doesn't the memo articulate the redlining? Because
No.
here is the memo,
Yeah.
and here is the redlining.
Right.
Are you referring to a different redlining that I'm not aware of?
Go
I
ahead.
have a question for Attorney
Hang on,
Orr.
hang on. Please, please.
With each distribution, we have received, as we have tonight, the actual ordinance as amended. So that it wouldn't be the memo, it would be, the questions would be on the actual ordinance. In fact, if you have a packet, it started at page 106.
So you're saying disregard the redlining on the memo
No,
and
I'm
look at the
saying-
ordinance?
The memo is an explanation. It is the actual ordinance that you would be voting on. You wouldn't be voting on the memo.
Right, but how do we know what to discuss that we have the ability to discuss if we're not looking at the red line changes to it?
Well, that's what we're discussing, though, is this is what we are discussing, right here,
Which is,
which is not the memo. The memo just refers to the red line.
so I'm looking at the ordinance, and I don't see a red line on the whole ordinance.
What is your question? Maybe we can refer to the actual ordinance itself.
My question, you have told me that we can propose changes only that are red line. So now you're telling me the red line is not in the memo, and I don't see the red line in the ordinances. So where is it that I find the red line that I can make
The
changes
red line
on?
should be on your agenda.
Well, then he needs to use.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I agree, but there is red lining on the
Okay.
explanation, which is what we're-
So
the map.
could you answer
Yeah.
that? My question is, where do I find the red lines?
The red,
Yeah,
I
sometimes
understand what you're
you-
saying. The
if
actual
it's red,
ordinance
then red
incorporated the
is
red
not
line.
red.
If you're suggesting that there's a change between the memo of June or July, why don't you explain to us what that change is that you're referring to? I don't
Okay.
have all of the memos from each
Sure.
case before me.
Well, I'm merely trying to articulate the point that what we have received in the past is not the same that we have received in the now. And we were told, in terms of directive, go ahead and look at anything that's redlined and go ahead and email your comments. But that's very hard to do if those red lines aren't in the memo, they're not in the ordinance, or the red line continues to change. So the comment by the director of community development was that there has been no change to the red line. The only red line that I see is in the memo dated July 9th and another previous memo which is dated June 17th.
But see, the memo is just the cover page. The memo may have changed. I see that. But the only thing that changed is the cover page.
Right.
The red
that's-
line itself.
Got it.
Right.
But that's what you're saying, and that's what Consuelo has alluded to, specifically said, not even alluded to. So I'm suggesting, let's look at that memo that she had, and let's look at the difference, because we have clear changes that are redlined on the July 7th, or the the July 9th memo versus the June 17th memo. All of this confusion just supports the fact that we're not ready to take a vote on this omnibus ordinance change, and we should put this back down to planning and zoning, divide it into our sections of subjects, and then fix each subject. It's very simple.
Yeah, I gave you 2 weeks to do it.
Well, that's,
Your
I mean,
Honor,
that's.
I have a question for
I mean,
the
the board
attorney.
can do that. If that's a motion that someone wants to make and second and vote on it.
That would be, it's on the agenda. It's as you suggested. Either amend what's on the agenda or vote it down, and then it would, at your request or the request of the president, go back to the zoning board.
Then I'm going to recommend to this board, let's vote this down, let's start over and do it right.
So.
So there's a motion to vote this down.
No,
I don't know that that's a motion,
No.
that's just,
No, there's a motion
motion and a
to,
second.
actually,
Call
the
for a vote.
motion is to vote
Please.
it.
But, please.
Are you prepared to? That is the board prepared to vote?
Okay. If is the board prepared to vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I think, Jack has it.
Oh,
Yes.
I was just gonna make a comment.
Okay.
That I'll concur with what a lot of the other trustees have said here. I'd like to see this split up. In fact, after the meeting we had 2 weeks ago, I thought that's what was going to happen. And so if it's still one thing, and as a lot of the issues that people have highlighted, I think are with the document, just putting that out there and letting everyone know.
All right. So we just vote on the ordinance. Okay.
Present.
Okay, so
All right, so.
all right, so there's already been a motion for the ordinance
In a second?
and a second.
Second.
So, well, let's take a roll call vote on it.
Okay. Okay, trustee Sewella,
Move it forward is a yes.
is he there?
Voted down, not moving forward is a no.
Okay. Trustee Sewella,
Yes.
trustee Murphy,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
No.
trustee Patrick,
No.
trustee, where am I? Trustee Corkery,
No.
trustee Kozar,
No.
President Kazal.
Yes. Okay, so that ordinance does not pass, and we will have to discuss this with P&Z moving forward. Okay, we will go to resolutions. Resolution 10A. Resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a contract with A-Lamp Concrete Contractors, Inc. of Schaumburg, Illinois, for construction of the Charles Avenue Improvement Project, St. Charles to Oak, in an amount not to exceed $1,635,041.99. Manager Keenan.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Charles Avenue Improvement Project, St. Charles to Oak, scope of work includes a new storm sewer to achieve combined sewer separation, sanitary sewer lining, new water main, road construction, and other related and incidental work efforts. The project was advertised for bids on June 18, 2021, and bids were opened on July 6, 2021. The project received substantial interest, but only received 4 bids for the construction of the project. A-Lamp Concrete Contractors, Inc. of Schaumburg, Illinois, submitted the lowest bid. Costs for this project have been budgeted in street improvement, water supply, wastewater operations, and wastewater sewer separation fund accounts. Staff recommends awarding the construction contract to A-Lamp Concrete Contractors, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $1,635,041.99. This item satisfies the village's short-term complex strategic plan goal. Continue using an aggressive infrastructure replacement development plan that covers sewers, water mains, streets, etc. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Okay, do we have a motion?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Trustee Patrick, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Trustee Murphy, second. Open up for discussion. I'd just like to make a couple comments. I'm happy that you guys are finally getting your road done, and I love seeing you, but hopefully, yeah, right, there you go. Okay, comments. Trustee Solano.
Yes, I'd like to know if any forethought has gone into this project that would put light on the future. Are there any empty lots that we'll be looking at adding on or annexing into the village, needing water mains, water services, sewers? Any rear yard projects that have drainage issues that are out there that possibly sewer stuff will be put in advance prior to the street being complete, so that in the future, even if we don't have the monies now, we can tap into that service down the road without running into another Yale Avenue. I want to know if we've researched our records to know of any outstanding pending problems.
Manager Keenan.
Your Honor, I do believe Director Guerrero can answer that.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. As part of the planning process, a lot of this was done prior to me, but as part of our process, we normally will go through and televise the sewers to look for problem locations within our sewer main. With this project, we are lining the sewer to try to secure that sewer for long term. And then we're also looking at for connections to sewers. We do have documentation on backyard flooding locations. Normally, we do try to work with the residents on the participation levels with that letter going out to the residents. I believe this location actually received it several times. And then from those letters and interest shown to participate, we do send our engineer out to investigate the area to make sure that they can connect to the sewer. Because sometimes, unfortunately, our storm sewer will not be extended far enough, or they might not actually have any issues that need to be addressed. For the empty lots, most of the locations have been built out. As far as we know, we don't have any indication. Obviously, that can change, within a month, but we normally try to look at all the known problems and address them at the time of the plans. And moving forward, we definitely are taking into account all those scenarios of the backyard drainage, flooding. We're looking at more sidewalks, and then any other future developments that we could know of at the time.
Yeah, I'm just thinking for a few pennies on the dollar now, while we're there, can prevent a whole lot of disruption of a new roadway in the future if we know something's out there. So,
yes.
Are there any empty lots?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That being said, thank you.
Trustee Patrick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just one request on behalf of for the village is that we maintain regular communications with these residents via mail throughout the entire process of the project. Thank you.
Trustee Kumar.
Can I ask a question? Are there any empty lots that we know of in that area?
I'd have to review the maps, but I'm just not familiar off the top of my head at this moment.
Okay.
I don't think there are.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Am I allowed to ask a question?
I'm sorry, no. I would like to address Mr. Smith's comment at the beginning regarding emergency repairs.
It was my mistake.
What constitutes an emergency repair?
I would justify emergency repair anytime utilities were without service, whether that be your gas line has a rupture, your water line, or your sanitary service. Those would be justifications for emergency repairs.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, roll call vote.
Okay, trustee Salela,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
Yes.
trustee Murphy,
Yes.
trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
President Kazal.
Yes. Okay, we move on to 10B, resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving an engineering services agreement with Civil Tech Engineering, Inc. of Itasca, Illinois, for Phase 3 construction engineering of the Charles Avenue Improvement Project, St. Charles to Oak, in an amount not to exceed $183,379. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. Civil Tech Engineering, Inc. of Itasca, Illinois has submitted a proposal to the village to provide Phase 3 construction engineering services for the Charles Avenue Improvement Project in an amount not to exceed $183,379. Staff recommends approval of this proposal. Funding for these engineering services would be taken from Street Improvement Fund referendum, Water Supply Fund capital, Wastewater Fund capital, and Wastewater Fund sewer separation. This item satisfies the short-term complex strategic plan goal, continue using an aggressive infrastructure replacement development plan that covers sewers, water mains, streets, etc. Thank you, Honor.
Thank you, Manager. Okay, do we have a motion for this ordinance?
Mr.
Trustee
President,
Patrick?
I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I will second
Trustee
that
Kumar.
motion.
Second? Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, Clerk Konecki, roll call, please.
Trustee Murphy,
Yes.
trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Salela,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
Yes.
and President Kazal.
Yes. Item 11A, motion to sustain or overturn. The motion to sustain or overrule the denial of a variance for 621 North Yale Avenue by the Public Works Director. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. Score Investment LLC is petitioning the village board for a variance in accordance with Chapter 13, Article 11, Section 131121 of the Village Code to be allowed for a utility cut for a new home construction at 621 North Yale Avenue. This location is a vacant lot that was previously attached to 625 North Yale and Scora is looking to develop the lot. North Yale Avenue was improved in the fall of 2020 at a cost of $932,715.95 with reconstruction of the roadway, including new water main, new curbs and gutters, new roadway stone base and pavement, along with other associated work. The Public Works Director denied the request for a variance per Chapter 13, Article 11, Section 1311-16 of the Village Municipal Code, which states open cuts to the pavement are not permitted for roadways that have been reconstructed in the past 7 years or resurfaced in the past 3 years. This ordinance was put in place to protect the investment the village made in the improvement of the streets. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Okay, do we have a motion for this ordinance?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, Trustee Patrick, we have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Corkery? Okay, do we have any discussion on this?
Is it
So-
to overrule it?
I
Yes.
have a question.
Yeah, can we get just kind of an explanation of what we're doing from our
Yeah.
attorney here?
Who made the motion, first motion? Was
did.
it to overturn or sustain the Public Works Director's directive?
I would like to make a motion to overrule.
Overrule. Was there a second to the overrule? There you go.
Okay, so that's what we're voting on, is to overrule that variance, the denial. Trustee Patrick?
Thank you, Mr. President. My question to the village is, has the village been in contact with the contractor regarding the options of this change?
Manager Keenan?
Your Honor, Board, I believe the memorandum from Director Guerrera was sent to the attorney representing the developer last Thursday, and earlier today, we had received no comment. I'm not sure if Director Guerrera has spoken to him.
Yeah, if you mind.
Go ahead, yep.
Yes, and I believe they're in the audience as well. The attorney was representing his client, was discussing. Unfortunately, we did play a little bit of phone tag today, so I would not want to speak on their behalf, but I would be willing to yield the floor if it's your
Definitely.
permission. Your Honor.
Just state your name, please.
Yes, Attorney Stanley Scoopin, representing Score Investments LLC. So yeah, I am in receipt of the memo from Mr. Guerrera, and I had a chance to briefly discuss with him this morning. However, at the time when we spoke on the phone, I have not yet had the authority from my client to make a comment, and then subsequently we played some phone tag because he was out of the office and then I was out of the office. At any rate, it appears that Mr. Guerrera's memo indicates that the estimated cost of maintenance is $3,500 a year, which would total up to a $21,000 maintenance over the course of the remaining 6 years. From my understanding, this estimate is based on a trench across the entire street, which significantly compromises the structural integrity of the streets, which would yield the additional required maintenance. My client proposed an alternative, which I discussed with Mr. Guerrera briefly, which appears to be a possibility. And the alternative solution is, if you take a look at the photographs, so it looks like the water main runs on the west side of the street, whereas our property is on the east side. So rather than trenching across the entire street, the first option would be to potentially discuss with engineering the prospect of digging in the landscaping directly to the west and boring across, avoiding any compromise to the structural integrity of the street. The other option, if the first one is not available, is to make a cut directly above the water main, slightly bigger than a manhole size, to let the boring machine in there and then bore across the street, which still wouldn't yield to an entire trench across the street. It would just be that little hole. In that regard, my client was asking to limit the escrow to $10,000. The simple fact being that $21,000 plus the inflated cost of material today yields the project lacking any financial sense for him. And I would like to note that Score Investments is developing two simultaneous properties on Yale Avenue, or Yale Avenue. The first one is 621 North, and the other one is 1043. As far as I understand, 1043 is not an issue because it's a corner lot, so it can connect to the water main running east and west instead of north and south. However, for financial reasons, my client's prevention of developing 621 will also lead to a temporary stop, if not altogether, a liquidation of both of the lots and just not developing either one of them.
Okay.
Oh, and sorry, one last final point is My client did speak to some of the neighbors about whether they have any issues with the aesthetics or the you know, the street being new and being cut into it, and he's not gotten any negative feedback.
Okay. Director Guerrero, what are your opinions on, I mean, I'm all for directional boring if they can get it done, but if...
Yeah, I believe our discussion, the village would be in favor of the directional boring to limit the size of the hole. What it comes down to is ultimately the board's decision on terms of the escrow and the basis of the escrow. And I think that was more the discussion is constructionally, yes, a boring would be favorable to limit disruption. It just comes down to how do we determine the escrow and the amount of escrow if that's the board's decision.
Sure. Can we make a compromise? You know, you want 10, we want 20, can you go 15? Would that be something acceptable, or, you know, first off, you guys are the ones that would have
and
to pay.
I think there was some of the discussion. Ultimately, you know, our staff would be the ones probably, our recommendation to the board was to put the responsibility of the maintenance back on to the developer, and in such case, the escrow would only be there in case of fault. That we would come in, and ultimately our crews or our patching program, different programs would pick that up, and we would draw down from the escrow. So ultimately, I mean, I had to come up with some sort of basis. Being an engineer, that's how I operate, and so I assumed kind of the worst case scenario is how I determined the calculation for the cut.
Okay, good, thank you. Trustee Murphy.
Yes, it's sounding to me as if the details of the memo are changing, in which case I would suggest that this get tabled and the memo details be revised before we vote on this, because if we vote on it, we're voting on the proposed conditions that were a different scenario.
Okay, do we have a second for that? Trustee Kozar?
It's not a second.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Is there a second?
Yeah, let's get the second.
I don't have a second.
Okay, do we have a second on Trustee Murphy's motion? Okay.
Can't vote on it, it's not right.
Okay, Trustee
I just
Kozar.
have a comment. Procedurally, what I would like to do is, and Ms. Orr, if you could advise me, I'd like to make a motion that the escrow is set at $10,000 contingent upon, and I wish I could put this up on the screen, but we have on the west side is where the water line is. If they could cut into the west side of the street only, and my understanding of how something like that would have to be is probably, because you'd have to enforce to brace it so that you could send somebody down in there. So if that's something in the neighborhood of like a 5x5 square, not cutting into the whole thing and then directionally boring over to it. If they're capable of doing that and they can show satisfactorily to Mr. Guerrero that that can be done, I would like to motion that escrow is set at $10,000 conditioned upon the boring aspect of it.
And if they can't, would you like to put something in there?
If it cannot, then I'd like to have it brought back to the board for, you know, a final vote. Yeah, some determination.
Can we do something like that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so the way I take it, that your motion is to allow a $10,000 escrow as long as they can cut a small hole on the west side, directionally bore to it. If that cannot be done, then the agreement is null and it'll come back to the board for a reconstitution of that vote, of that cost. Trustee Murphy.
Yes, I don't think it's up to the board to make it those technical specifications. I would like to see the technical specifications be worked out between our staff and the attorney and his resource. And then once they work out what they're going to do, then we will have an accurate memo with the details and we'll have something that can be voted on.
There's a motion to amend on the floor. Is there a second to that motion?
All right, Trustee Corkery. Okay. Now, to your comment, Trustee Murphy, we've already voted, or nobody seconded that motion. So I think this motion is probably a little better because it'll be up to Director Guerrera to decide. We won't have to make that decision. Director Guerrera will make that decision whether the 10,000 is acceptable or not. And then if not, then it'll come back to the board.
Perfect, thank you.
So that's what we would be voting on.
Right. So we're voting on the amendment.
The amendment to the motion, or to the ordinance here. Okay. Any other discussion? Trustee Kumar?
I just wanted to quickly say I did go out and talk to the residents myself personally, and many of them are very apt at building in that location because it has not been built for a long time, and they are tired of an empty space.
Good, thank you. Okay, no other comments? Roll call vote, please.
Okay, Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Silala?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
President Casson?
Yes. Okay, so now the main motion would be to overrule the denial, which we've already had the motion and the second. Correct?
Yes. Was there?
Yeah. Clerk Kinnicky?
Yes,
We've
we
already
have
had
a
that
first
on the
and
floor.
second
Okay.
for the
So
regular
now we
overrule.
vote on the overruling of the ordinance.
As amended.
Or not the ordinance, of the denial. We're overruling the denial
As amended.
as amended. Thank you.
All right, I'm
Okay.
confused.
You all got that?
Got it.
No.
Okay, what we are voting on right now is to overrule the denial of the variance with the amended, that Trustee Kozar, the amendment that Trustee Kozar added. Okay? Everybody got that? Any questions? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Okay, Trustee Silala?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
President Casson?
Yes. Okay, so we'll turn this over to you guys and we'll see what happens.
Thank you.
Look forward to having a house built
Have a
there.
good night.
You've been built by now.
Okay, item 12, public comments on non-agenda items.
Yes,
We have
I
a-
have Robert Wagner. Bob wants to make comments on the Environmental Concerns Commission.
Good evening. Bob Wagner here on behalf of the Environmental Concerns Commission. Earlier this evening, I placed at the spots for Trustee Kozar, Trustee Corkery, and Trustee Kumar some reusable water bottles. And we did this with an intention because we want the board and staff to think about eliminating single-use plastics and living more sustainably. We were very pleased last month when there was an article in the Village Matters about eliminating single-use plastics. And you may know that single-use plastics is a big environmental issue. 1.5 billion plastic bottles per day are used worldwide. And unfortunately, a majority of them don't get recycled. 1 trillion single-use plastic bags are used every year. So whatever we can do individually to reduce our consumption of single-use plastics, we as the Environmental Concerns Commission want to encourage that. And I would just let you know that these bottles were purchased pre-COVID, and we purchased them from Positive Impressions within town. So I also want to let the board know, and I did send out an email earlier today about the climate action plan that will be presented. It's on behalf of the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus, the Metropolitan Planning Council, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and there will be a presentation on this online tomorrow from noon to 1:30. And if you're not able to watch it, they do record those programs, and the commission will be looking at this plan. There's lots of content in there, especially for local governments, how you can implement a climate action plan. And lastly, I just want to let the board know and the public know that on Thursday, July 22nd at 7 p.m. at our commission meeting, George Strom will be our guest speaker, speaking on behalf of Lakeshore Recycling Systems. There have been questions, comments in the community, and George has been a guest at our commission in the past, and he always provides us with great factual information. We know that he will do this again, and from what I understand, that there is some sort of new facility that Lakeshore Recycling System is building in Maywood, adjacent to the Strom facility. So hope that members of the board can attend, and we certainly encourage village residents to attend as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob.
No one else.
No one else? Okay. Do we have any other
Yes.
comments? Okay.
Hello, my name is Kurt Hoffman. I'm a resident of Villa Park, 30-year resident of Villa Park. Pertaining to what I just saw in Resolution 10A, that does not encompass, and maybe I missed this previously.
I can comment. This is my mistake. I thought that was going to be on the agenda this week, but it will be coming up soon. The Maple Avenue area?
Maple, Beach, Pine, are
Okay.
those getting covered under another resolution under, with another contract?
I'll let our village manager, Director of Public Works. Go ahead.
The board had already approved a tentative award of contract two meetings ago. I believe the contractor is A-Lamp in that one as well. It was contingent to approval of the loan, which we received the loan agreement last week. So that project is moving forward.
So these other streets from St. Charles to Oak are gonna get done before Pine and Maple and Beach and the streets that get massive flooding every year when we get these 100-year rains?
No, with the loan agreement that has been awarded, so the contracts are being executed currently.
Okay. I just wanted to get straight on that, make sure I wasn't sleeping on the job too long. Pertaining to the replacement and separation of these sewer lines, we've had, and I've been up before this board, I asked trustees that were in office at the time to come out and view the flooding on Pine, and surprise, no one showed up. And I don't come up here to be acrimonious. I talked to Al last year when he was still in office, and he came out a couple of times. To his credit, he came out a couple of times. But the flooding that we've had over on Maple and on Pine has been awful. And it gets, I've lived there for 27 years. For 27 years, I've told next summer we're separating the sewers. Well, now I get told we're separating the sewers, but they're not changing out the sanitary pipe. They're going to leave the same. My house was built in 1927. So almost 100 years ago, I'm not sure exactly when that sewer line was put in. I spent 14 years in sewer and water. I spent my life in construction as a laborer. And I know the ins and outs of a lot of what's going on over there. To not change out that sanitary main, to not lower the elevation of that sanitary main, to me is almost criminal. We're going to put a storm pipe in, great, it's going to take all the storm water, and then we're going to line a how many years old sanitary pipe?
Okay, 30 seconds.
Huh?
30 seconds left.
I didn't see anybody else getting timed.
Yeah, I time everybody.
There's a problem already with the sanitary line. There's a sewer lid that blows off, and I brought that up again to the board years ago at Maple and Villa. Every time it rains, we get these 100-year rains, the lid blows off. The village comes out and puts sandbags around it because they know of the condition. There's a double sump under, because there's a conflict at St. Charles and Villa, which should be replaced for the lift station, because a double sump obviously can't handle these 100-year rains and these massive rain events. I really don't think that if we're not going to open up the street for 7 years like this guy had a problem with, now you're going to leave an age-old sanitary clay, most likely, main in the street and reline it with an inflatable liner, and then go back and find the services later with a machine that bores a hole, which can lead to a lot of problems.
Okay, we have to cut you off, though.
What's that?
I say we're going to have to cut you off. You got your 3 minutes.
Yeah. I'd appreciate that being taken into consideration and looked at further and more thoroughly.
Yeah.
Director Guerrero, would you mind, you want to address it at all?
Yes,
About
thank
the
you.
sewer relining?
So With this project, the intent of the project is twofold. One is road rehabilitation, rehabilitate a lot of the roadways that are old and deteriorated. And then two is separation of combination sewers. Throughout the older parts of our community, we utilized, at the time, one sewer to handle both storm and sanitary sewer. The village has been doing an excellent job of separating those sewers, and this project is one of those examples. The practice has been to install a new storm sewer to separate that storm water off of the existing sanitary line. There's a couple reasons for that. One is the most cost-effective way, so we can utilize taxpayers' dollars in the efficient use as possible. And then two, to install a new storm sewer and a new sanitary sewer would probably triple the price. And this project's at $3.2 million, that, put you in the ballpark of $9 million. Along with that comes complications during construction. We would have to separate everyone's services off, put them on. This part of town, the northern part of town, I'm becoming aware that we have a lot of I&I issues, infiltration and inflow during rain events. And a lot of that is from downspouts, footing drains, stairwell drains being tied into the sanitary. Therefore, if we would put a new storm or sanitary line in, we would have to separate all those homes off of that, which adds cost to the residents. So the village has historically utilized the sanitary in the same, so it does not disrupt the residents at the time of construction with sanitary. Secondly, those are bigger pipes in the ground. I believe Maple is like a 15-inch main. With the I&I problems, that kind of provides a buffer now that it's only sanitary sewer going into it and no storm water from the groundwater or surface water coming in from the inlets, catch basins, and all those into it. So that's the reason it was decided to put storm main versus new sanitary. And that's been the practice, my understanding, for all separation projects within the village, has been to install a new storm main versus replacement of sanitary.
Does the lining of that sewer help that I&I problem?
So the lining,
or does it take care of a lot of that once it's lined?
Correct. So lining is a technology that's trenchless, that we can install a new pipe inside an existing pipe. And a new continuous plastic pipe. So there's no seams, there's no joints, there's no connections. And that does help with the I&I, because by doing that, we eliminate points of infiltration, points that water can get into that pipe by lining all the way through and sealing off the pipe. Mr. Hoffman is correct. In order to reinstall services, usually, depending on the size of the pipe, a robot goes down and cores out the openings back open. Bigger pipes, they actually do sometimes send a person down the sewer and core them out manually. And then there's additional technology that we can utilize that kind of line up the sanitary laterals to make sure that connection is in good shape moving forward. And the design life for a liner is 50 plus years right now.
Thank you.
What is, might I ask, the plan about the lead services that are on the older homes?
So anytime we come across a lead service, we will replace it. That's been our policy and will continue to be our policy.
Right, but how far from, I mean, if the water main is on my side of the street, you'll never cross my lead service. So you'll never see it. You'll never need to repair it. How does that get changed out? I mean, the city of Chicago is replacing every lead service in the
Kurt,
city. But we're going to let that all go.
Can I ask you, you want to discuss that after the meeting?
Sure.
If you wouldn't mind? Yeah, I'm sure Director will be happy to talk to you about that. Thank you. Okay, any other public comments? Okay, we'll go to Village Clerk's report.
No reports today,
No report?
thank you.
Thank you. Village Trustees report, we will start on my left. Trustee Kumar.
I just want to say thank you to Jean Nicholson again. I think she seems like a spectacular person, and all of us are so proud to have someone like that in our community. She's a positive example of humanity, and I only hope I could be someone like her in the future. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Corkery.
No report this week.
Thank you. Trustee Murphy.
No report this week, thank you.
Okay. Trustee Kozar.
9A was a tough vote, but I'm very proud of this board for the effort and the work that they did on this. It's, as our board is developing here and we're new, it shows that we're just not going to rubber stamp things, that we're going to think about things, that we're accountable to our people and the people who voted us in, that we are the decision makers. The board is the decision makers. So today's vote was headed in the right direction, and I'm proud of everybody for putting in the work and having the good, earnest debate and conversation that we had. I'm the liaison for planning and zoning, so I would like to keep this ordinance current in our minds, and I would like to offer up to review this with any trustee on an individual basis, and we can go through it. I will make note of your comments, your changes, what you like, what you don't like, all of that. I will do the same for any resident who wants to email me and go over any of this. And then I will take those comments back to our president so that he may refer that back down to P&Z so that they can have a public forum and a public debate on that. But again, I just want to reiterate, this was hard work. It's going to be hard work. Doing it right, whatever it is always hard work. So I'm glad that the board is taking the route of doing the best thing for our village. Thank you.
Trustee Patrick.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for coming out again. I appreciate it. Over the last couple of months, we've had on the Cable Commission a couple of new members join our commission. We are still looking for a couple more members. Part of the responsibilities or the duties of the Cable Commission is also creating content for our village, keeping everybody up to date with public events, education, and the government here. If you would like to learn how to do video production or anything of the such like that, please, you don't need any experience. We can train you and teach you how to do that. But if you would like to go out and start covering some of these stories and adding some content to Villa Park, please submit your application to join the commission. With that, I'd also like to thank again our first responders, our police department, our fire department. As usual, they are always doing an outstanding job out there, so thank you. And I know that we're going to touch base on it a little bit later with the manager's report, so I won't steal his thunder here, but over the holiday weekend, my family and I had an opportunity to spend the day at Jefferson Pool. And we witnessed an incident that occurred that had the potential to be very dangerous, but the outcome was just amazing. And thank you to your staff, the professionalism. And I know that he's going to touch base on that in a little bit, but it was just great to see happen there. And like I said, I'm not going to steal anybody's thunder, but thank you to all of our staff for working hard and training hard. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Salell.
Yes, being the 4th of July is come and gone, and my emails were filled with concerned residents who had issues with fireworks. I did notice that in the weekend report, we didn't have any significant arrests or whatnot for fireworks, illegal fireworks, but there were still some complaints forwarded to me through email. One that was quite heart-wrenching, if you read it in its entirety, about a gentleman who rescued a dog that was abused and took months and months to get this dog to trust humans again, and the fireworks set this all back, and now he's regretting ever adopting the dog. And many other dog owners in the village probably experienced. I'm just wondering if there was any incidences that were corrected that weren't in a legal matter throughout the holiday weekend that shows that we're out there looking. I'm not looking to find someone arrested for it. I'm just wondering if we made any attempts to stop.
I'm pretty sure
local
that
fireworks.
that area, they did find it. I'm going to let the village manager kind of discuss that. You don't mind? Or if you won't mind.
Thank you. Your Honor, Board, yes, the email that Trustee Cielo was talking about, we did happen to do extra patrols in that area, and an individual was caught, I think, about 2 blocks away, wasn't it, Your Honor?
So, yeah.
Yes, and the police did catch that individual that was setting off the fireworks. And I'm sure there was other instances, but that's the biggest one that I'm aware of right now. So.
Thank you.
And it is tough on 4th of July because they're going off all over the place, and unless people call 911, they just don't know.
I just wanted to make sure that this gentleman's concerns were brought forth.
Yeah,
Thank you.
They were addressed.
Thank
you, and thanks to staff for that too, and the manager. Okay, I don't have a lot tonight. as Trustee Patrick was talking, the Cable Commission is looking for members. And actually, I want to thank all the residents, because last year at this time, I think we were a little short on members. And right now, the only commissions that need members are the Cable Commission. They're looking for 3 members, and I think Seniors Concerns need 1.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it would
we
be
got 4,
nice,
and we
yeah.
just dropped it to 5. So, so if anyone's interested in joining a commission, you can do that online, or you can come into the Village Hall and fill out an application. But we really appreciate everybody stepping up, and most of the commissions, I think they all do a great job. And I think most of them, they have a good time doing it, especially the Fun Commission, right?
That's the name, Fun.
The Fun Commission, right. Want to bring up again Love Your Neighbor Day, which will be on September 18th, 2021. The rain date will be September 25th, and this is a great opportunity if you know of anyone, or if you need help, minor repairs around your house, landscaping, painting. It's a great way to help out your neighborhood, and they do a really good job with it. It's hosted by Christian Church of Villa Park. If you go online, it's ccvponline.net. They'll have information on it, or you can call 630-833-7262. And that's all I have, and we'll go to the village manager.
Well, thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'd like Director Golda to come to the podium and kind of tell us about the 4th of July weekend at our Jefferson Pool. As I understand through conversations with Director Golda, there were 4 saves over that weekend, and I think Director Golda would like to talk a little bit about that.
Thank you, Manager Keener. Good evening. Trustee Patrick, thank you very much for recognizing the 2 individuals. In talking to the manager, we've had several saves, so to recognize a couple individuals without recognizing the others would not be a good thing. We'd like to recognize everybody. So we did have 4 rescues on the 4th of July weekend. We had, prior to that, we've had 4 rescues in June, and we also had 3 rescues July 9th. So the staff has been pretty busy. They do train every week. They do a weekly in-service. They're very professional young folks. I'm very proud of them, and this has been for years. We have an excellent staff that trains them, and it's a really important job. I mean, it's could be life or death, and they take their jobs very seriously as lifeguards and pool ambassadors and keeping our residents and swimmers safe. So with that, I just want to name the individuals that have done those rescues for the last month or so. Jen Corkery, she's been involved with 2 or 3 rescues actually. Grace Roscoe, Victor Voskresensky, Brendan McCormick, Hope Reckcamp, Kelsey Fitzgerald, Jack Weaver, Matt Koikar, Kara Burns, and Fiona Fromm. So all those individuals have made rescues. Not necessarily life-threatening rescues. You know, kids are struggling in the water, and they'll help them out, and those type of saves. So, but thank you very much for taking the time to mention those 2 folks, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has.
Great. Yeah, great job. You guys are doing a great job.
Fantastic
Congratulations
staff.
from us, for sure.
I will pass that along.
Trustee Patrick.
I would just like to say, with what I witnessed there, your staff, the teamwork, the camaraderie, and the professionalism was stellar.
Thank you.
They were all looking out for each other as lifeguards, and as well as the patrons in the pool. And to be able to see how swiftly they worked on that, and looked out for each other and paid attention to details of all things too, was just outstanding. Outstanding to see. So thank you.
Thank you for those comments. I will pass those along. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
And the last item, Your Honor, if the rain holds, Wednesday's Kiwanis concert in the park will be Evil Burrito.
So it's rock and rollers. You know?
I think it is, yeah. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay, our next meeting will be in 2 weeks, July 26th. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Trustee Corkery, and a second. Trustee Kumar, all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. and we will see you in 2 weeks.